Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and show you a few pieces I think they're special. Hopefully you'll be able to see them all. I'm actually looking at trying to get somebody to come help by doing 3D imaging of these beautiful pieces. And if we do the 3D imaging correctly, we'll be able to take pieces like this and start producing them off 3D printers. And if you could take something this pretty, a push plate, and be able to go ahead and make copies of it and sell them for radically lower. Look at that push plate. A pair of these normally cost you a couple $100. But if you go ahead and make this and print it out with a 3D printer, which I think we can do, this is a gorgeous piece. Look at that. It's called Bluebirds and Butterflies. Some of these pieces are actually unusual enough that collectors have paid as much as $8,400. Something like this is a Martha Washington. Martha Washington, she would be circa 1800s by Robinson, $375. Now, if I could print that out for somebody and they have Martha Washington 3D printed and look just like that, wouldn't that be cool? This is a really cool peak hole cover for the Oddfellows. And look at the ornamentation on that. Amazing stuff. So I want to go ahead and make these available. So I need somebody to help be able to go ahead and then do all the images. And then once we have the images, we can put them on the internet and people could download them and be able to go ahead and make hardware like this. And so instead of it costing $100, it could cost $15. Some of this stuff, imagine that. There's your doorknob going to your bedroom. You can print that out. It wouldn't be very expensive. Some of the stuff that we have, actually, when it comes down to being able to make stuff, try to make that nowadays out of metal. It costs you so much to match the quality. $225 per set. But you could probably make that in your garage with a 3D printer for probably $35. And so the idea is to be able to go ahead and start getting the images. Look at the difference in the way it's shaped. And then this can be printed out by a veteran. Might have no legs, in a wheelchair, handicapped. You could have children. Some of the children that need things to do, they could go ahead and work on these. People that are ADHD or autistic, like me. Imagine being able to go in your garage and print this out, and your son would be making these on printing machines and delivering them and installing them. Your children would have a business, all because some of these were saved, and we got the images of them, all 3D imaged, and then we can go ahead and send them out on the internet so people can go ahead and make them. Literally, make copies that aren't necessarily out of the brass or the bronze, but you can't afford these normally. These are $100 a piece. Try to buy something like this. Imagine if you could make something like this with beautiful little bluebirds on it, little butterfly, and put that on your door. It might cost you $10 because you can make it with 3D printers. The patinas and the color, it can change. That's easy enough to do with a printer, and they can even print them out in metal now. So you have something like that. Now normally, that's $125. Some of these beautiful patterns, brocade, not bad. All that can be had. All that can be produced. 3D printers. Look at the fish. And a small version. This is the doorbell cover. Look at that. So you can print that, go over a modern ugly doorbell. So instead of spending probably $50, look at that. That's the door for a pocket door. But you could also use it for a lot of things. Decorative. The idea behind all this is, what could you do? Oh, look at that. And you can do this with a 3D printer. If I can make this affordable, if you could buy a beautiful set for the bedroom, Looks like that. Instead of spending, I suspect, $75. Yeah. That's, of course, made out of beautiful copper. High dollar, actually. Very high dollar nowadays. But you could have it printed and have it look like that, but not have the expensive materials, and it wouldn't be so destructive to the planet. All right. I hope you liked all that, because it's just a little display, a little bit of a taste, and there's so much more. Things like this, pocket door plates that you can put out there, and all different kinds of doorknobs. My goodness, there's more than you can imagine. And that's the idea behind this. Let everybody go ahead and have a special doorknob for their bedroom. You just print them out. Instead of spending $100 or $200 or $500, you could have a beautiful palm like this. These are just so many possibilities. Little petite things like this. Oops, look at that. But you make it out of 3D printing, and it wouldn't cost you $50. But some of this you can't necessarily do that with. This is real brass. Look at that. All brass. Some of these things like this, we can't make it like that anymore. Nobody makes onesies. This is called a Colombian pattern. But you could have the doorknob and everything, even that, all printed out for a fraction, small fraction of the cost of a real one. So, if you're thinking about fancying up the house a little bit, want to give it a nice look, something like that, wouldn't that be easy? Just add that into your house, give us a flavor. That's the back side, and that's the front side. This is wrought. These are pressed. Very unusual set, by the way. Some of my collection like this, I only have one set. They were by collectors that spent their whole lives, and I bought the collections at the end of their lives because I was in the club, and somebody had to carry on and be the stewards. So you look at things like this, that goes with that palm knob. Things like that, when they go together, they just look so good, and it's like, here we go. There. You see this palm pod up here, and oops, I'm sorry, over here, and over here. Look at that. Then you go ahead and take it, put your eye in there and laminate it, you'd be looking into the room all the time. But you could use that for lock. So, oh my goodness, I could go on and on and on. There's so many to pick from. And I do want you to know this is just a sample. So, please, think about it. Put some of this in your house, but also find that kid that can do this work for me. Do the images and stuff like that. Honestly, what I'm looking at is this. If somebody comes in here and does this, helps me take the pictures, and then we can make this into a business where everybody has a chance to be able to go ahead and have their home business in the garage and be able to service a town. That'd be your territory. The kids that are doing it make the money. The families are doing it make the money. You got the printers. And whoever helps you take the images, anytime anybody downloads an image in the future, they get a piece of the action for the rest of their lives. What an opportunity. So I have 20,000 pieces. That's a lot of pieces. You want to help? Let me know. Whoops. I want a background. See you later. There it is. Look at that.